is Khabib Nurmagomedov the biggest scammer in the combat sports game? Or at least the biggest promoter of scams in the combat sports game? Maybe.
Conor McGregor just called Khabib Nurmagomedov a fraud who's dishonoring his father's legacy, and the MMA world is absolutely losing its mind. But here's what nobody's telling you about this explosive feud that's ripping the sport apart.
Khabib doing a promotional thing on his Twitter that we talked about a couple of days ago, where, what is it, an emoji?
An NFT.
An NFT on Telegram.
Yeah.
That is the Khabib's Pupka. Here it is. And so you buy it, and now you can use it in your messaging, right?
I'm not sure if you can use it in your messaging or not. It's just a digital collectible, and there was only a certain amount that were for sale, and they sold out very quickly.
And do you know how much they were?
I don't know, but I've seen the USD equivalent of all of them sold together was 4.
The Irish superstar dropped a nuclear bomb on social media, accusing the undefeated champion of using his deceased father's name and Dagestani culture to scam fans out of millions through some shady NFT scheme. McGregor's tweet was ruthless, claiming Khabib turned his father's principles into what he called father's swindle. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. McGregor deleted the tweet almost immediately after posting it. Why would someone drop such a massive accusation only to pull it down minutes later? That's not normal behavior, even for Conor. Something bigger is happening here, and the timing of this whole situation is suspicious as hell.
It's a scam. I don't know if it's necessarily a scam. I think the criticism may be like, oh, you're sort of monetizing this cultural symbolism, but I don't know if anyone thinks it's a scam per se. The deleting of the previous tweets is interesting, but I guess they'll frame it as like, okay, there's no need to keep it up there, but do we really think that that's the reason why they deleted it?
Now get this, the entire controversy centers around Khabib launching these digital papaka tokens on Telegram. For those who don't know, a papaka is a traditional Dagestani hat that represents the culture and heritage of Khabib's people. So essentially, Khabib took this sacred cultural symbol, turned it into pixelated digital art, and sold it to fans for massive amounts of money through an auction-style bidding war. We're talking millions of dollars generated in minutes. But here's the kicker: right after the sale was complete, Khabib deleted all the promotional content and marketing materials. Gone, vanished, like it never happened.
The content after they were sold, leaving his fans robbed of their money. There's just no way good guy do this. Okay? Now, in my personal opinion about this, beyond what I'm just reading out here as a character that I'm playing, if you buy this, and you buy things like this, you deserve to be robbed of your money. Am I ever going to promote some crypto thing on here? No. I'm not going to have Guru Coin at any point in my entire YouTube's history ever. You know what I mean? But I think there's such a thing as financial natural selection. And if you buy this thinking, oh, this is a great investment, and Habib deletes everything off of his Twitter a couple of days later, and you're like, what the fuck? You made 4.3 million from this? I mean, I thought I was getting involved in like a movement here with you, Khabib, and all of that. You deserve your money gone. Okay? You don't deserve it. And if that's what you're doing with your money, you clearly have too much. That's my honest opinion. Financial natural selection is fair game, I think, in this world. But you can still be judged for partaking in these types of things. I mean, so many UFC fighters post cryptocurrency. McGregor did it before and got backlash.
Listen to what McGregor posted before he deleted it. There's simply no chance good guy could use his father's name and Dagestani culture to swindle his fans and quickly sell many digital NFTs online, then remove all of the content after they were sold, leaving his fans robbed of their money. That's not just trash talk, that's a serious accusation of fraud. And you know what's crazy? Khabib's response was just as explosive. He fired back, calling McGregor a fabricator who's desperate to drag down his reputation because he's still bitter about getting choked out at UFC 229. But then Khabib also deleted his response tweets. What are these guys trying to hide?
I don't do for money, I do for legacy, brother. Everything for legacy. I don't fight for money. None of this about money for me. You just do this for money, everything like that. Everyone else just does things for money. But, and I think that's where people are sort of being a bit annoyed about this, is because everyone else is knowingly fighting about money. Like, of course this is about money. I want to make money. But then When you see someone like this who spent his career trashing people that just do things for money, and this is all he does on Twitter, and maybe it hits a little differently for the fans, maybe is what I'm getting.
But wait, it gets worse. Khabib's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, jumped into this mess and took things to a completely different level. This man didn't just defend Khabib, he went straight for McGregor's soul. Ali posted that Khabib seized your inner self, stole your manliness, and that McGregor will never be respected even 1% as much as Khabib. Those are fighting words right there, but Ali wasn't done. He claimed McGregor doesn't represent Ireland anymore, calling him nothing but an ex-fighter consumed by drink, substances, quick wealth, cars, yachts. The personal attacks are getting vicious, and you can feel the genuine hatred between these camps.
Steve did not necessarily scam with this idea. It is more so that the idea has no worth, and that this papaka is essentially a sticker or an emoji that you can use to react to things on Telegram, but he keeps calling it a gift, when in reality, it is something that he sold at auction. So in this specific case, this one's a borderline scam. He's not providing you with anything of value. He's not even providing you with what an NFT normally would be, which is like a digital, pixelized, one-of-one piece of art that you could keep and hold. This is more so something you have to use on a texting device and that you can send to people as a gift, I guess, or as a reaction to things. I'm not exactly sure, but like to show your respect, you're buying.
Here's where the story takes a dark turn that nobody's talking about. Khabib, who built his entire legacy on being the moral compass of MMA, the guy who always preached about legacy over money, just monetized his dead father's memory and his people's culture for profit. Think about that for a second. This is the same man who criticized fighters for caring too much about money, who said he fought for honor and legacy, not paychecks. Now he's selling digital pictures of cultural hats to fans who thought they were supporting something meaningful. The hypocrisy is staggering, and it's exactly why McGregor pounced on this opportunity.
I remain for Khabib to be promoting something like this that doesn't have any value, that doesn't offer anything new to people, that really is just a little worthless digital thing on their phone. It's like buying a Fortnite skin. It doesn't help you in the game. It doesn't do anything to increase the value of the game. It just is there, and you paid money for it. And again, the fact that they auctioned it versus having it at a flat rate, making the fans of Khabib bid against each other to jack up the price so that every piece that was sold wasn't the same value. One was higher, one was lower, depending on how many people bid on it. I don't wait for.
And get this, MMA analyst Wade Plemons broke down exactly why fans felt scammed. These papaka NFTs were essentially emoji-level digital stickers that people could screenshot for free, but fans were bidding against each other and paying thousands of dollars for them. Plemons called it economic natural selection and said anyone who bought these digital trinkets got exactly what they deserved. But that's not the real issue here. The real issue is that Khabib's standing in the sport was built on being different from guys like McGregor. He was supposed to be above the money grabs and the exploitation. This NFT situation shattered that image completely.
In another way.
Because I want to talk about this thing with Khabib, where he is looked at as the beacon for respect, humility, good guy, like Conor said, the good guy Khabib, a man with honor, with morals that can't be compromised, and a lot of those based on his religion, yes, but just in general who he is. And I don't understand why he doesn't get more criticism for the things he does that are not shining lights of what he says he operates on, what the morality code he lives by or tells others to live by, while doing stuff like...
Hold up, did you catch what Khabib said in his defense? He claimed these digital tokens had true monetary worth that fans could give to friends and family as gifts. Gifts of worth. Let that sink in. He's trying to convince people that pixelated hat pictures are valuable family heirlooms. Then he had the audacity to promote his Telegram channel in the same breath, calling it the premier communications service across the planet. This man turned a fraud accusation response into a marketing opportunity. The level of shamelessness is actually impressive in the worst possible way.
Papaka's the biggest scam he's been involved in? Probably not. It made him a lot of money and people bought it. And again, if you are buying these type of things purely because you're a fan of Khabib and they offer you no real value, then you kind of get what you're paying for in that case. But I can't really make sense of the over and over and over crypto scams and how in any way that reflects the man Khabib purports to be and the values that he holds. That's just keeping it 100 across the board. Nothing to do with anything in his personal life, nothing to do with anything in his religion. just actions and words, I feel like they matter when you talk about these things. And if you're going to call out people like Conor McGregor, which we all have, multiple videos on this channel of me doing that. You're going to call out John Jones, which we all have, multiple videos on this channel of me doing that. I think you have to keep the same energy for Habib Nurmagomedov and his constant promoting of crypto scams and other shady business deals.
Now here's what makes this situation even more explosive: the timing. Khabib has been linked to multiple cryptocurrency and digital asset promotions where fans take all the risk while he collects the profits. This isn't his first rodeo with questionable business ventures, but doing it with his father's legacy and cultural symbols. That crosses a line that even his most loyal supporters are struggling to defend. And McGregor knows it. That's why he struck now, when Khabib is most vulnerable to this type of criticism. But there's something way bigger happening behind the scenes that explains why both fighters keep deleting their tweets. Sources close to both camps suggest there might be legal implications to these fraud accusations. When McGregor calls someone a scammer in a public forum, that's potentially defamatory if he can't prove it. When Khabib promotes financial products that fans lose money on, that could attract regulatory attention. Both sides are playing with fire, and their lawyers are probably having heart attacks watching this social media war unfold in real time. The MMA community's reaction has been absolutely brutal for Khabib. Fans who defended him against McGregor for years are now questioning everything they thought they knew about their hero. Comment sections are filled with people saying they feel betrayed, that Khabib sold out everything he claimed to stand for. One fan perfectly captured the sentiment: "If you can screenshot the same picture for free, why did I pay $500 for it?" The answer is simple: they got played by someone they trusted. Here's the most damaging part of this entire situation. Khabib tried to make this about respecting Dagestani culture and bringing awareness to his people's traditions. But what he actually did was turn sacred cultural symbols into a cash grab that made his own people look bad. Real Dagestanis are now associated with this NFT scam because their most famous representative decided to monetize their heritage. That's not preserving culture, that's exploiting it for personal gain. And everyone can see the difference. Ali Abdelaziz's final tweet in this war might have revealed the real strategy here. He posted, "The lion does not concern himself with the opinion of sheep," essentially calling all critics irrelevant. But that arrogance is exactly what's going to backfire. When you've built your career on being humble and respectful, you can't suddenly act like you're above criticism when you mess up. The sheep he's dismissing are the same fans who made Khabib a global superstar and bought his digital trinkets. So there you have it. What started as an NFT controversy has exploded into a full-scale war that's exposing the real character of everyone involved. McGregor might be a lot of things, but his criticism of Khabib's father's legacy cash grab hit the mark perfectly. Khabib's moral high ground just collapsed, and no amount of manager tweets can rebuild it. This isn't just about digital art or social media beef anymore. It's about integrity, legacy, and whether the heroes we idolize actually deserve our respect. So here's my question for you. Is Khabib's reputation permanently damaged by this scandal, or will fans forgive their hero and move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this community is split right down the middle. If this breakdown of the real story behind the headlines helped you understand what's actually happening, smash that like button, subscribe for more MMA drama that the mainstream media won't cover, and hit that notification bell because this feud is far from over. I'll see you in the next one. But wait, there's an even darker layer to this story that I haven't told you yet, and it involves some serious allegations that could completely destroy Khabib's reputation forever. Remember how I mentioned this isn't Khabib's first questionable business venture? Well, dig deeper into his recent financial activities, and you'll find a pattern that makes the Papaka NFT situation look like child's play. Sources inside the cryptocurrency community have been tracking Khabib's digital asset promotions for months, and what they've discovered is absolutely shocking. Multiple projects that Khabib endorsed or partnered with have either collapsed completely or left investors holding worthless tokens. We're talking about millions of dollars in fan money just vanishing into thin air. But here's the kicker: Khabib always manages to exit these projects right before they crash, almost like he knows something his fans don't. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern of behavior that screams insider knowledge and calculated exploitation. The most damaging revelation came from a blockchain investigator who goes by the name Crypto Detective on Twitter. This person traced Khabib's wallet addresses and found that he's been dumping tokens immediately after promoting them to his fanbase. So while he's telling fans these digital assets have true monetary worth, he's simultaneously selling his own holdings for cash. It's the classic pump and dump scheme, but with a beloved MMA champion as the face of the operation. The level of betrayal here is staggering because these aren't random investors. These are hardcore MMA fans who trusted Khabib with their hard-earned money because they believed in his character. Now here's where McGregor's deleted tweet makes perfect sense. Word is that Conor's team had access to some of this blockchain evidence before he posted his accusation. But here's the problem: publishing specific financial evidence without going through proper legal channels could have landed McGregor in serious legal trouble. That's why he deleted the tweet so quickly. His lawyers probably had a panic attack and told him to pull it down immediately. But the damage was already done because thousands of people screenshot it. And now everyone's asking questions that Khabib can't answer without incriminating himself. The situation gets even more complicated when you look at Khabib's business partnerships in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Multiple sources confirm that he's been involved in several high-end real estate and investment schemes targeting wealthy Middle Eastern investors who are MMA fans. These aren't small-time operations. We're talking about developments worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's the concerning part. Several of these projects have stalled or been abandoned after collecting investor money, leaving people holding contracts for properties that may never be built. One particularly explosive allegation involves a luxury resort project in Dagestan that Khabib was supposed to be the face of. Investors were told their money would go toward building a world-class training facility and resort that would honor Dagestani culture while providing returns through tourism. The promotional materials featured Khabib extensively, promising that he would be personally involved in the project's development. Fast forward 2 years, and the land sits empty while investor money has disappeared into a maze of shell companies and offshore accounts. Sound familiar? It's the same playbook as the NFT situation, just with bigger numbers. But the most damaging revelation of all involves Khabib's charitable foundation, which was supposed to honor his father's memory by helping underprivileged children in Dagestan get access to education and sports training. Internal documents leaked to several MMA journalists show that less than 15% of donated funds actually reached the intended beneficiaries. The rest went to administrative costs and operational expenses that seemed to include luxury travel, high-end accommodations, and payments to family members for undefined consulting services. Using his dead father's name to essentially steal from children who need help, that's not just fraud, that's evil. Here's what makes this foundation scandal particularly disgusting. Khabib has been using his father's death as an emotional manipulation tool to extract money from fans who want to honor Abdulmanap's legacy. Every time he promotes the charity, he talks about continuing his father's work and making sure disadvantaged kids have opportunities. But behind the scenes, that money is funding a lifestyle that his father would have been ashamed of. The man who preached humility and service to others raised a son who's become everything he stood against. The MMA community is starting to connect these dots, and the backlash is unlike anything we've seen before. Former teammates are beginning to speak out anonymously about Khabib's changed behavior since retiring. Multiple sources describe him as increasingly obsessed with money and status, completely different from the humble fighter who used to sleep on gym floors and refuse endorsement deals that didn't align with his values. One former training partner said, "The Khabib we knew died with his father." This person wearing his face is someone none of us recognize. Now let's talk about why Ali Abdelaziz is so desperately defending Khabib in this situation. It's not loyalty, it's self-preservation. Ali isn't just Khabib's manager. He's been the architect behind many of these questionable business ventures. His management company takes a cut of every deal, every endorsement, and every investment scheme that Khabib participates in. If Khabib goes down for fraud, Ali goes down with him. That's why his responses have been so emotional and personal. He's fighting for his own financial survival, not defending a friend's honor. But Ali made a critical mistake in his Twitter war with McGregor. He revealed information that he shouldn't have known publicly, specifically about the financial details of the NFT sales and the timeline of when content was removed. How would a manager know those technical details unless he was directly involved in the operation? Legal experts are now saying that Ali's tweets could be used as evidence in any potential fraud investigation. because he essentially admitted to having inside knowledge of the scheme's mechanics. The international implications of this scandal are just starting to emerge. Russian authorities have reportedly opened a preliminary investigation into Khabib's business activities, particularly focusing on the charity foundation and whether funds were properly allocated. The Russian government has been cracking down on cryptocurrency fraud and celebrity-endorsed scams, and Khabib's high profile makes him an ideal target for prosecutors looking to send a message. If charges are filed in Russia, it could trigger investigations in other countries where Khabib has conducted business. Here's something that will blow your mind about the deleted social media evidence. Digital forensics experts have been able to recover not just the deleted tweets, but also the metadata showing exactly when they were posted and removed. The timeline reveals that Khabib's team was monitoring McGregor's Twitter in real time and coordinated their response strategy within minutes. This wasn't an emotional reaction. It was a calculated damage control operation that suggests they were prepared for these accusations to surface eventually. The most shocking development came just days ago when several major cryptocurrency exchanges quietly removed Khabib-endorsed tokens from their platforms. When exchanges start delisting assets, it usually means they've received legal pressure or discovered evidence of fraudulent activity. The fact that multiple exchanges acted simultaneously suggests they're all responding to the same information, possibly from regulatory authorities who are building a case behind the scenes. But here's what nobody's talking about: the impact this is having on other Muslim fighters in the UFC. Khabib wasn't just representing himself. He was representing his faith and his culture on the world's biggest stage. Now every Muslim fighter has to deal with questions about whether they're also running scams or exploiting their religious identity for profit. Fighters like Bilal Mohammed and Khamzat Chimaev are getting bombarded with questions about their business dealings simply because they share Khabib's faith. That's the collateral damage of this scandal. It's making everyone look suspicious by association. Timing of McGregor's attack wasn't random either. Sources close to the Irish fighter's camp reveal that he's been building a file of evidence against Khabib for months, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. McGregor knew that going after Khabib during the height of his popularity would backfire, but attacking him when he's vulnerable and already facing criticism gives the accusations more credibility. It's psychological warfare at the highest level, and McGregor's timing was absolutely perfect. What makes this whole situation even more insane is that Khabib could have avoided all of this controversy by simply being honest about his business ventures. If he had said, "I'm launching NFTs as a business venture to make money," nobody would have cared. But by wrapping it in his father's legacy and cultural significance, he made it personal and emotional for fans who felt betrayed when they realized they'd been manipulated. The cover-up and the lies are always worse than the original crime. So here's what I think is going to happen next. The legal pressure is going to continue building until either Khabib comes clean about all his business dealings, or prosecutors in multiple countries file charges that force the truth to come out. McGregor isn't going to let this go because he knows he's finally found Khabib's weakness, his reputation for integrity. Every time Khabib tries to rebuild his image, McGregor is going to be there to remind everyone about the NFT scam and all the other questionable deals that are about to surface. The saddest part of this entire mess is what it's done to Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov's legacy. Here was a man who dedicated his life to building character in young fighters, who taught that honor was more important than money, and who believed that representing your culture meant upholding its highest values. His son has taken everything his father stood for and turned it into a marketing strategy to separate fans from their money. If Abdulmanap could see what his name is being used for now, he'd be heartbroken. That's the real tragedy in all of this, not just that fans got scammed, but that a great man's memory is being prostituted by someone who should be protecting it. This story is far from over, and I have a feeling we're about to see revelations that make everything I've told you look like the tip of the iceberg. The MMA world is watching, the authorities are investigating, and McGregor is just getting started. Khabib's perfect record might be 29-0 in the octagon, but in the court of public opinion, he's about to take the biggest loss of his career. What do you think? Is this the end of Khabib's reputation, or will he find a way to fight back and clear his name? Let me know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed because this drama is about to get a whole lot worse before it gets better.